Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are San Diego.
Last night at Petco Park, the Phillies played a little bit of long ball in a 5-1 victory as they evened up this series at a game apiece. Maikel Franco went Western Metal in the 4th inning, and then in the next frame, Cesar Hernandez lifted a solo shot as the Phillies put up a 5-1 victory to even this series at a game apiece. Now this afternoon, the final game of the season between the Padres and the first place Philadelphia Phillies of the National League East. Welcome back to Petco Park on a Military Sunday with Mark Sweeney. I'm Jesse Agler, and as we get ready for this one, we're going to talk a little bit about the starting pitching. Joey Lucchesi on the mound, a 3rd straight day game start for Lucchesi, and an opportunity here against the Philadelphia Phillies to show what he can do.
First time he's faced the Philadelphia Phillies. That might be to his benefit because the last time out against the Chicago Cubs, very efficient, and he threw his breaking stuff very well. The curveball was improved, always going to have that curve, the curveball curve look. And also, he has to set that up with fastball command. Joey Lucchesi understands this is a very good lineup when they're hot. And last night they showed the power in the bats. Today, he has to show that secondary stuff against a fastball hitting club.
So it's Lucchesi on one side and Jake Arrieta on the other. A little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde situation here.
Jake Arrieta is one of those guys that if you're thinking about 2015, he was lights out, won the Cy Young Award for the Chicago Cubs. He continues to be that guy. Listen, 0-4 in June. His last 7 starts, he's 4-0. He is right at the ship. And the Padres faced him July 20th, and he wasn't locked in. So hopefully the Padres can capitalize on some of those mistakes. Jake Arrieta understands he has to move the baseball. That's so important. And he has that two-seamer against left-handers that gives a lot of left-handed hitters fits, but also can have the breaking ball. The breaking ball, to me, is the key for Jake Arrieta. If he doesn't have that, there's going to be mistakes with the fastball. The Padres have to capitalize on those mistakes today and get ahead of Jake Arrieta, because if they don't, he understands how to finish.
Time now for our Military Take the Field, presented by USAA. Today we welcome 9 representatives from the United States Navy. Beautiful Sunday afternoon here at Petco Park. And the weather report brought to you by your always sunny Honda dealers of San Diego County. Low 80s, a little bit breezy, and what do you know, a clear forecast here in San Diego this afternoon with Mark Sweeney, Andy Halbert, our entire Fox Sports San Diego crew. I'm Jesse Agler. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday afternoon with us. Padres and the Phillies going to play the rubber game of this 3-game series. Phils took 2 out of 3 at Citizens Bank Park last month. Padres trying to return the favor here today. Gabe Kapler, first-year manager, has his team in first place, and his starting lineup today very similar to what we saw the last 2 nights from Philly. The only change is in center field. Roman Quinn is there after Odubel Herrera started the first 2 games in center. Hernandez, Hoskins, and Williams, the first 3 scheduled hitters for the Phils, against starting pitcher Joey Lucchesi.
Well, the 25-year-old left-hander, 18th start, first against the Philadelphia Phillies. He has to be efficient. First time through the order is going to be pretty important to land that breaking ball. 80 to 90 pitches typically for Joey Lucchesi. Only thrown 100 pitches or more only once in those 17 starts. Improved curveball tonight. Throw it with conviction, and I think that's what Andy Green would like to have him do, and it was much improved his last start against Chicago.
3 straight day game starts for Lucchesi. I only bring that up because it was warm weather in the previous 2. The ball was jumping a little bit. Probably fair to say it had an impact on the way his afternoon went. We'll see if the weather conditions play a role here today as he delivers high to Cesar Hernandez, and we are underway. A couple of starts ago for Joey was here against Arizona, a very warm afternoon, and then last Sunday at Wrigley, 5 2/3. He allowed 3 runs, only 2 of which were earned, and tied his career high with 9 strikeouts in a 10-6 Padre win. Padres earned that 4-game split at Wrigley, went to Milwaukee, took 2 out of 3. Now trying to do the same here to the Philadelphia Phillies. 3 straight series against 3 of the best teams in the National League.
Yeah, and that's something that you're going to have to contend with, and some of these young starters are going to have to grow up quickly.
Another rookie starting pitcher. Seems like we're saying that almost every night for the Padres as of late. And it's a big part of the future. These guys beginning to arrive. Hernandez taking on 2-0. There's the strike from Joey. Switch hitting second baseman, leading off for the Phils as he does most every day. Good challenge for Lucchesi, facing Philadelphia for the first time in his career. Two and two. Third straight game with a rookie starting pitcher for the Padres. Yesterday, Walker Lockett. Jacob Nix made his big league debut on Friday. It was the best of all the big league debuts we've seen this year from the young Padres starting pitchers. First one to get a win since Dinelson Lamet last year against the Mets. Hernandez hit one of the 2 home runs the Phils had in their win last night. Has now hit in 5 consecutive games. Longest active hitting streak for any Philly batter. On 2 and 2, just a little tapper foul at the plate. There was the churve.
I heard Andy Green talk in our pregame about how he is going to have to throw his curveball a little bit more. And why? Increase usage, because he throws that harder. It's a different break than the churve. Also has different spin.
Yeah, the spin is the thing that was most interesting to me when Andy talked about that, because they come in about the same velocity, the churve and the curve. Opportunity passed on to field his position there. Got to hurry, and Hernandez is safe. Vanderberg did about everything he could right there, but Cesar Hernandez regularly near the top of the league in infield and bunt hits. Picks one up there, and the leadoff man aboard against Lucchesi.
Well, he fell off the right, the third base side, allowing Corey Spangenberg, who was playing deep at second base, to try to make that play. Hernandez speed too quick down the line.
So leadoff man aboard for the Phils. And Lucchesi will immediately work out of the stretch here in the top of the first inning. But yeah, in that game against Chicago last week, I don't think he threw a single traditional curveball. It was all fastball and churve. And I think Andy's point, which you referenced, was the spin of the curve and the churve looks so different to a hitter.
Yeah, that's a huge key for hitters. If they're not picking up that rotation and it is a different look, then it'll give problems to especially a Philadelphia Phillies lineup that hasn't seen him before. You're going on a scouting report, and until you see it out of the hands of Joey Lucchesi, it can give you some problems.
Hoskins trying to get it going at the plate right now. Snapped it 0 for 22 with a single last night. That's his only hit of the series.
Well, typically, Jesse, we say it all the time. If you haven't faced a guy and all you're doing is going on a scouting report, that first at bat is pretty imperative to gain information. And how you do that is maybe trying to take a passive approach, look for one particular pitch, maybe a 2-0 feel.
Good fastball there for strike 2. And it's interesting because Joey this year has had really good numbers first time through the order against teams, and I'm sure that's a big part of it.
It does, and it's a different look. It's very difficult because you're so focused on trying to see that breaking ball. So later on in the game, if you have runners in scoring position, you have information to go on rather than a scouting report. We talk about blocking balls all the time with Austin Hedges. How about that play he just made? In a crouch, that fastball is released and he makes the play. Watch his reactions here.
Wow.
That's not easy.
It's a different kind of pop time. Third straight start for Hedges. Got a hot bat. Says he feels good. Let it go. Again, this time off speed, missing way high. It's leg day for Austin Hedges now. So leadoff infield single now, full count to the second batter.
Hernandez is probably going to be set in motion. Let's see if he goes over, maybe picks him off here.
Hernandez not running, and Hoskins strikes out. That's a pretty typical Rhys Hoskins at bat. He sees a lot of pitches, more than anybody else in the league on average, and it ends in a strikeout.
Really tardy on this fastball, and you can see him with the ball in on his hands. It's the cutting action. That barrel is below the baseball, but he was late.
So Lucchesi, who tied his career high with 9 strikeouts last week at Wrigley, picks up 1 here in the first inning. And Hoskins' strikeout numbers are significant this year. Perhaps that's part of why Hernandez was not running on the 3-2 pitch. Now Nick Williams, who's had himself a really nice series. RBI triple in yesterday's game, 2 for 3 last night, and 4 for 7 so far this weekend. Williams, one of these guys who's come along nicely for Gabe Kapler's Phillies this year. He was hitting down in the order much of the season. And as of late, he's found himself up in the top half more often than not and producing.
And what he's done is hit the ball to all fields. And that's what's so impressive. You had the triple in his first at bat last night on a 3-2 changeup. Can also use the middle of the field, the line drive stroke. Many of the Phillies think he is going to develop power into his game with consistency and also some experience. Time to look at the defense of the San Diego Padres, and we're focusing on Travis Jankowski in there for Manuel Margot. Flanking him is Franmil Reyes in right field, Hunter Renfroe in left. Third to first, Christian Villanueva, Galvis, Spangenberg, and Hosmer. Hedges, as you said, is in there again. 3 straight games with Joey Lucchesi throwing the rock.
Ball and 2 strikes to Williams, and that one gets away from Austin. Hernandez will advance without a throw. Wild pitch by Lucchesi puts a man in scoring position with 1 away.
You can say the command has wavered just a little bit, and spiking this one down low. Probably a catchable ball for Austin Hedges, but had that movement. He's missed up so many times, so I think Austin Hedges is on his heels a little bit.
Series of signs now with that runner at second base. Talked to A.J. Ellis about that in game last night. Padres have worked really hard this year on signs with runners at second. Here's a high towering drive to center. Travis Jankowski makes that look easy. Hernandez will tag in advance, but now 2 away here in the top of the first inning. So 2 outs and a runner on third. And the cleanup hitter, Carlos Santana. Switch hitter will step to the plate. Padres have thrown right-handed starters each of the first 2 games of this series. And now Santana will hit right-handed against Lucchesi. Missing high again. It's interesting because it's not just 1 pitch. He's missed up there with both the fastball and the changeup.
Yeah, not getting a feel for it early. It might be mechanically, it might be just not having a good grip of the baseball.
A little bit low with that curve. 2 balls and no strikes. If you're scoring at home, how many people do you think are scoring at home?
Well, I know I wouldn't, because it's intimidating for me.
They changed the wild pitch to a pass ball if you're scoring at home. Just in case somebody is. Want to present all the information we have. Good one there. Now 2 balls and a strike on Santana, looking for his first hit of the series. .25 pitch first inning last night for Walker Lockett. .25 pitch first inning for Jacob Nix on Friday. And now Lucchesi up around that same range here. Phil's got a bunch of guys that take a lot of walks, see a lot of pitches. Yeah, it can be a challenge certainly for a young pitcher. way out in front, 3-2.
Yeah, sold out on the fastball there with Santana. Got the curve. Starts off as a fastball look. Has that awkward spin, just drops off the table.
Truly unique pitch. I believe the legend, by the way, is that Eric Lauer is the one who came up with the term churve. He was just watching Lucchesi throw and was like, what is that? Joey just showed it to him. Holds it like a changeup, throws it like a curveball. That is a fastball, and strike 3 to end the inning. A couple of Ks in the top of the first for Joey Fuego. Padres coming up. USAA. Final game of the season between the Padres and the Phillies. Scoreless as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Padres coming up against Jake Arrieta. Padre lineup brought to you by your San Diego County Toyota dealers. Travis Jankowski leading off playing center field. Day off for Manuel Margot, at least for now. Hosmer, Renfro, Reyes, Hedges again, Galvis, Villanueva, Spangenberg, and Lucchesi. Pretty much outside of the Margot Jankowski flip, what we've seen most of this series.
Now the scouting report for Jake Arrieta. He has been so good on the road. Only allowed 1 run in his last 26 innings pitched on the road. And also has induced 20 double plays this year. That's a career high. 2016, he had 17 of them. Also has 2 no-hitters to his resume.
Cy Young Award. All-Star appearance. But kind of as you're alluding to, he's not the same guy he was maybe 3 years ago with the Cubs.
I think he has to rely on a lot of the breaking balls.
There's a ground ball and a base hit for Travis Jankowski. Lead single for the Padres, who knocked Arrieta around and out in the game at Philly last month.
Well, you're going to have to command that inside part of the plate, especially left-handers. He likes that comebacker. You have to take that away from him, and then he'll start going to the breaking ball, maybe even the cutter.
Speed aboard. Jankowski, 15 stolen bases this year, more than any other Padre. Hosmer hitting .252 this year. Had a 3-hit game on Friday night as they check on Travis. Arrieta against the Padres on July 20th. 3 1/3 innings. 5 runs, 4 of which were earned, 6 hits, 3 walks, only 2 strikeouts. And that really has been the exception for him in the last month and a half or so. He's been very good. Outside of that day against the Padres. Jankowski running. Alfaro's throw. Not in time. Cabrera thought he got him. If it stands, it's stolen base number 16 on this season for Jankowski.
Yeah, I think an interesting aspect is where Cabrera puts that left foot. Watch how he covers second base, and a lot of those infielders will put that left foot down. I think he's in there. Cabrera wanted him to check. Maybe it was that quick tag.
I've got clearly safe, and it will not be a challenge from the Phils.
So many infielders this day and age directly go right to the dugout to have them check.
The same thing in football. The receiver bobbles the ball, and I caught it. He's telling the coach. And I think after a year or two of instant replay in baseball, managers learn to pretty much ignore what their fielders tell them in those situations.
So true.
Boy, you cried wolf. So Travis puts himself in scoring position for Hosmer, and he hits that one on the ground the other way. It's going to get through, but Jankowski had to wait, and now Travis will be held at third base. Either way, runners on the corners, nobody out against Arrieta here in the first.
Now good hitting, good base running from Travis Jankowski and also Eric Hosmer. Anything elevated is going to end up flat, and Eric Hosmer, not on the pull mode, goes the other way early. Watch Travis Jankowski at second. You have to have that ball get through, easily advancing to third base, especially with no outs.
Travis generally leads the team in dirty uniforms. That's the case again here today. And all set up for Hunter Renfroe, who has hit in 8 of his last 9 games. Arrieta way away with that fastball, and he falls behind Renfroe. Hunter yesterday, a single, a double, and a walk. 7 of his last 11 hits have gone for extra bases, and that's just pretty much the way it's been all year for Hunter Renfroe. More than half of his hits this season have been extra base hits. Take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Pretty simple today. Rake Jake, and they had done it already early in this game. Capitalize on mistakes and disrupt him with the running game. Doesn't like the slide step, very mechanical, and sometimes his command can waver.
Boy, did you make those up like right after the first inning started? Because you're on it.
We had to get those off quickly.
And a moment here as the plate umpire Tim Timmons, I believe, needs some eye wash. Will Signing going to help him out. You're ready for anything down in those dugouts. You want the plate umpire to have good vision.
Yes.
So you're okay with this delay.
I'm fine with this delay.
You don't want him down crouching, closing one eye. Hey, it's hot, it's windy.
Sure is.
A little bit low now. 2-1 on Hunter Renfroe. Arrieta's last start was spectacular. It was Monday night in Arizona. He didn't factor into the decision, but he threw 8 shutout innings against the Diamondbacks in a game they would lose in extras. Broken back grounder. That will get a run home, but also will be a double play. Padres take a 1-0 lead, but Hunter rolls over, grounded it right to Cabrera. 2 down and the base is empty.
And the Philadelphia Phillies defense, let's take a look at them. Roman Quinn gets the start in center field. Rhys Hoskins in left field. Nick Williams in right. On the left side of the infield, Maikel Franco, Asdrubal Cabrera, Cesar Hernandez at second base, Carlos Santana at first base, and Jorge Alfaro catches Jake Arrieta.
Both catchers.
Brought to you by Cadillac.
Pardon me. Both catchers and catching all 3 games of the series, including the day game after the night game, as Franmil Reyes fouls a fastball back out of play.
That's impressive because we're sitting in August. It's the dog days of August, and your catchers understand that it's important to have those guys day game after night game. Not a typical move for managers, also the catchers.
On the ground again, and a nice job by Santana over at first base. Arrieta got the ground balls he was looking for the Padres get a 1-0 lead.
Has demonstrated he can beat good lineups, and love to see the curveball be an increasing part of his pitch mix. I think the two pitches, the curve and the curveball, both have a place, even though they come out kind of same velocity and have similar movements. I think the spin difference does something to hitters, though. It's always been a productive pitch for him. It's a pitch that I don't want him to disregard entirely, but he's proven that he's got enough to beat very good clubs.
And that was manager Andy Green on Joey Lucchesi. We mentioned that it has been a weekend of rookies. It was Jacob Nix, Walker Lockett, and now Joey Lucchesi. And he's got the most mileage of all of them, 18th start of the season today. And he continues to work on his growth and improvement, specifically those secondary pitches. And also his command. You know, we've seen that he's so effective when he's in the strike zone, and we say that about a lot of pitchers, but we've seen with Lucchesi that he's got the stuff. It's just harnessing that command, keeping it in the zone, and using it to his advantage as much as possible. So Jesse Sween, so far so good for him.
Yeah, and, you know, I think Joey Lucchesi has a lot of moving parts, and that's very difficult to sync up at times. And you know what? I don't think it's bad to have lack of command at times, because in the minor leagues it's worked. It's making the hitter uncomfortable, and Joey Lucchesi has that, which we saw in the first inning. 24 pitches, but also had the 2 punch-outs.
It is a unique look for sure. I can imagine hitters getting antsy as he goes through the entire windup process. As Drupal Cabrera leading off for the Phillies here in the second inning. Couple of strikeouts for Joey in the first. He got Hoskins for out number 1, and he punched out Santana to end the first. Franco and Quinn to follow here in the second. And missing up again.
Well, Jesse, it's time to go to school too, and you can see Robbie Erlin, also Clayton Richard, and the young guys, the young bucks, trying to just gain some information. They're going to have some laughs sitting on the bench, but that's imperative for growth for these younger pitchers. Those conversations are so imperative to have an understanding of what's next for these young pitchers.
Cabrera draws a walk to lead off the second inning. So the leadoff man aboard for Philly here in the second, Maikel Franco, coming to the plate, and he's a little bit of their what do they call it, the bellwether? Is that it? Bell cow. As he goes, so goes the season for the Philadelphia Phillies.
You know what? They started talking about possibly trading him, and his game has taken another level. There's been some growth problems at times in years past where he looks like he's lazy, doesn't have that grind that everyone projected him to be. And now you're starting to see it, and it's a winning ways for the Phillies when he is hot, as you said, Jesse.
And he's hot right now. Homered in yesterday's game. A couple of hits in the first game of this series. And an early visit from Austin Hedges as Lucchesi continues. Has some trouble finding the strike zone. And again, if you're scoring at home, that's mound visit number 1 for the Padres this afternoon.
You know, I don't think people realize, too, with so much put on some of these younger players in the game that are already projected to be stars before they're even engaged into the big leagues. Latin American guys coming over and trying to fit in and also be that star that I think the organization would like to have. It's a daunting task for a lot of players.
For any young guy, there is so much growing up that has to take place aside from baseball. And I always try and keep that in mind when we discuss young players. And the one story that always sticks in my mind, David Peralta of the Diamondbacks. Grew up with Jan Hervis Solarte in Venezuela. And he said when he got to the big leagues got to the minors, playing professionally for the first time in this country, obviously you're trying to learn the language, you're trying to learn the culture. Yeah, they go to a sushi restaurant one night when he's in single A, and he sees the wasabi. He thought it was guacamole, and the rest of the story. Obviously, that's an uncomfortable moment for your tongue.
Sure is.
But it just shows like it's every little thing you're trying to learn, and guys have to pay electric bills for the first time in their lives, living away from home. There's so much that takes place away from the baseball field to just feel comfortable. And then, oh yeah, by the way, this is your job. You got to go out there and try and do this very difficult thing.
I think that grind is exactly what you just said, living away from home. That's not easy. These guys got so used to their comfort level of where they were living, and now they're on their own. Not an easy thing.
Now, all that said, hey, big league clubhouse, you got a bunch of your other young guys around. That's got to make these guys feel a little bit more comfortable.
It does. And it takes a little bit of time to feel like you belong.
Some key guys on this Philly team, 26 and younger. Hoskins made his big league debut just last year. The other guys been around a little bit longer, but still young. That's a nice little core for this first place Philly team.
Yeah, the key to me is Rhys Hoskins. I think everyone around the organization thinks that this is a budding leader.
He's the guy. I don't think there's any question at this point.
And that's a lot of praise for a young player, but he's going to step up. He's going to assume that role, but that takes time. Still got to build your resume as a player and go out there and have credibility. He's done that at this early stage in his career.
Broncos worked it to 2-2 against Lucchesi. It's interesting too, we talk about all these young pitchers for the Padres. They're not all on the same schedule. They're not all here with the same expectations, and that's something of what Andy Green discussed last night after Walker Lockett's outing. So for some of these guys, they're going to be given the opportunity to learn at the big league level. This one is hung and hit hard to very deep left field. It's a fair or foul question, and it's foul, not by much. And Andy Green didn't mince words last night. He says Walker Lockett's not one of these guys that's just going to be given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity at the big league level. Some people have a very small window to show what they can do. Others will be given more opportunity, sort of based on what they've accomplished, in the minor leagues and what the organization thinks of them.
Yeah, and that's typical. That's not going out of the way. I think that I refer back to my opportunity. It was with Tony La Russa. I was scared to death. If I was 0 for 1 in a pinch hitting situation, I was wondering if I was going to get sent down. And sometimes that can benefit you mentally of that challenge every single day. But yeah, there's different scenarios for every single prospect that comes up and gets that opportunity at the big league level.
Casey making his 18th start of the season today. Not all of those guys are going to get up to that number. 8th pitch of the at bat is a broken background ball. They get one. Spangenberg, quick turn. They get 2. Good battle between Lucchesi and Franco. And Joey Fuego comes out on top.
Now the day game after our defensive show, it starts with Freddie Galvis. And a really nice turn and a strong throw by Corey Spangenberg. All started by the shortstop. And you're wondering if they'll check on this one. Good stretch by Eric Hosmer. I think they had him.
Phillies are not going to challenge it. So each starting pitcher now has rolled a ground ball double play. Pitcher's best friend, they say. Here's Roman Quinn, switch hitting center fielder, making his first start of the series. And a good fastball for a strike. Quinn had a little bit of big league time in 2016. Had some injury troubles last year, didn't appear in the big leagues. And a rare start here this afternoon. And another ground ball to end the top of the second inning. Busy day already for Freddie Galvis.
Bottom of the second inning at Petco Park, and I wanted to update you guys on some transaction news. The Padres optioned Walker Lockett today to AAA El Paso, last night's starting pitcher, and they recalled Kazuhisa Makita, so he will join the bullpen. And also, Will Myers is making a rehab assignment today with Lake Elsinore. He is playing third base, so I'm sure we'll learn more about that tomorrow. But as Andy Green has said, they are trying to add a little bit more versatility onto this roster. So Jesse Sweens will be following that one closely.
Yeah, you better believe that, Annie. Thank you very much. We should have sent Annie up to San Bernardino to report live. Will Myers playing for Elsinore against the Inland Empire team this afternoon. Sounds like Will could very well be activated off the DL tomorrow. That game's not till 5:30, I've been told. So Annie, if you leave in about the 6th inning, I think we can get a report in. That'd be great.
I like this idea, guys.
Yeah. And listen,
the roving reporter.
Yeah.
Watch out, Will Myers, because those infields are not known to be soft.
Might get there quickly.
Watch out for your chicklets.
So lock it down to AAA. Probably see him again at some point this year, but it's about roster management, I think, as much as anything else at this point. But again, Andy Green did not mince words last night. There are guys that are going to continue to get opportunity almost on a no matter what basis. And there are guys like him, Lockett, that are you get what you earn. Austin Hedges leading off against Arrieta here in the second inning. 4 for 7 in the first 2 games of this series. Austin homered on Friday night. And he hits that one pretty well out towards left field. Hoskins got to hurry, dives, and he did not make the catch. Hedges aboard again. And now an opportunity, to go steal a base.
Rhys Hoskins didn't have that closing speed on this one. Got a late break, and you could see the dive just under the glove. Good effort by the left fielder. But better result for Austin Hedges.
Talking about positional versatility, and Hoskins was a guy I think a year ago at this time they thought was the first baseman of the future. And with Carlos Santana coming over in free agency over the winter, Hoskins shifted out to the outfield, and see it more and more. I mean, it used to be if you were a big-time prospect, they were not going to mess with you defensively. And I mean, Cody Bellinger playing all over the place for the Dodgers. Obviously, everything the Cubs do. Hoskins. I mean, it's just kind of the way baseball is right now.
Yeah, when I was in the player development with the Dodgers, there was a lot of restraint from guys that were going to move from position to position. A couple players here and there, but now you're seeing at the big league level, versatility, especially in the National League, is very much important.
Obviously, they got to pay very close attention to Austin Hedges. Ball and a strike from Arrieta.
Yeah, what in the Ricky Henderson's going on with Austin Hedges? Back-to-back games with stolen bases.
And there's the check. It's been situational too. You know, I mean, where it did make sense to give it a shot, and he was able to get down there. Not running, and Galvis hits it in the air foul. Here you go. First 2 games of this series. Austin Hedges on first base, and like you said, he's a regular Ricky. Alfaro never stood a chance. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I say that.
Galvis skies that one to right field. Williams circles underneath of it. And that is the first out here in the bottom of the second. Austin will use his wheels now to retreat.
I tongue in cheek because I was not known to have blazing speed myself. Sometimes when you're sliding into second base and you see that mistake of the infielder, a dropped ball, man, you start breathing easier.
One out for Christian Villanueva. Christian back in the lineup yesterday after missing a couple of days following his collision with Hunter Renfroe in Milwaukee. Had a sore wrist, and a moving fastball for a strike from Arrieta. Renfroe maybe last on the list of guys I'd want to collide with on the Padre team. Franmil Reyes, 1A. Not that Christian's a small guy by any means, but always tricky going back as an infielder. Outfielder coming in full head of steam.
That's when you got to rely on communication, and especially with all of these defensive shifts. Puts certain guys into some scenarios and spots where they're not accustomed to being.
Ground ball through for a base hit. Christian Villanueva back at it. Second single of the inning.
You've seen an early grind with the at-bats from the San Diego Padres against Jake Arrieta. Has a lot of movement. This ball drops, a 2-seamer. It's middle away, and he gets this in between shortstop and third base.
Really is fascinating watching Jake Arrieta work right now. This is not the guy who went 22-6 with a 1.77 ERA in 2015. And look, he's got a top 10 ERA in the National League. It's just that he's going about it completely differently. He mostly escaped a first inning jam with a double play ball, looking for another here. And Spangenberg takes outside.
You look at his last 3 starts, and they're very good, and they're against very good clubs. Los Angeles Dodgers at home, and then at Boston and at Arizona. All playoff contending teams. Jake Arrieta took his game to another level.
Mentioned it earlier, the old hang with him in that last start against the Diamondbacks. 8 shutout innings. You don't factor into the decision. So Anthony Dominguez blew the save in the 9th inning. Diamondbacks tied it, and then Arizona won in the 14th. Corey ahead in the count. And Arrieta does not get that call. It's 3-0.
Yeah, he wanted that pitch. The two-seam fastball in the strike zone, not called. That lower part of the strike zone has not been called consistently.
So what are we going to do? Hedges and Villanueva aboard. 3 balls and no strikes on Spangenberg. And that is ball 4. First walk of the afternoon issued by Jake Arrieta. And the sacks are full for Joey Lucchesi. Padre pitcher now 1 for 22 at the plate. He has drawn 4 walks, though, including his last game against John Lester last Sunday at Wrigley Field. A walk here would lead to his first major league run batted in. And again, that low portion of the zone not really there for Arrieta and Lucchesi today.
Yeah, that'll change the thought process for Jake Arrieta too. Even that adjustment, just working underneath a two-seamer, might work to the Padres' advantage, not getting that low strike called.
Yeah, that's where he wants to be. Looks like they're going to try it again. And that one gets away from Alfaro. Not far enough for advance, and now the Padres got guys hung up between second and third. Spangenberg going to try and keep it alive for Hedges. And Austin is tagged out just before he gets to the plate. Spangenberg goes to second. Villanueva goes to third. But that's out number 2. And now Lucchesi behind in the count, a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, indecision for Austin Hedges, and this doesn't work out very well for the Padres. Why I say that, with the pitcher up, you have to be 100% right that you're getting in there. And then all the other runners are watching Austin Hedges and got exposed. Christian Villanueva in a rundown, and then at that point, you just have to stay second and third. But with the pitcher up, Joey Lucchesi, not a good scenario for the Padres.
Nice job by the shortstop Cabrera, just running Hedges down on his way to the plate. So that changes things significantly. Go from bases loaded, 1 out, to runners on second and third, 2 away. Villanueva, the lead runner. Spangenberg now at second base, and that pitch was a strike that somehow got away from Alfaro. Defensive adventure for the Philly catcher. We've seen it this series and also last month in Philadelphia. Got him. Foul tip held onto by Alfaro, and that'll end the inning. Padres unable to cash in on the big opportunity.
Park, and I'm joined right now by Rear Admiral Yancey Lindsay, commander of the Navy Region Southwest, here on this Military Sunday as we honor the Navy. And Admiral Lindsay, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thanks, Andy. It's always a special day to get to go to a Padre game.
It's so great to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do in the area that you oversee? Because it's a pretty big area.
Sure. I'm the commander of Navy Region Southwest, so I'm like the Navy's landlord in the 6 Southwest U.S. states. And we do about kind of what a city manager does. We take care of the facilities and we support those men and women that are flying airplanes, sailing ships, and sailing submarines, and a host of other things.
Let's talk about those men and women because, like I said, the Padres are honoring the Navy today. And as you look around Petco Park, how much pride do you have in these men and women who are serving our country every day?
Hey, they're amazing men and women and their families who are serving too. And so it's special to be here with them. And the Padres just do a fantastic job of supporting the military and their families. So and my hat's off to them. I can't thank them enough.
Admiral Lindsay, I understand you played a mean tight end back in your college days. But you have a little baseball in you as well.
I played baseball through high school, and I don't know if I played a mean tight end. The position I played the most in college was left out, but it paid for school, so I was happy.
And that first pitch as well, you didn't even skip it. I mean, that first pitch went right over the plate, so you got to be pretty happy about that.
That's one of the more nerve-wracking things I've done recently. In fact, I was remarking here, I think I might want to go back and do a night landing on a carrier before I have to do that again.
I think some of us might trade off. Maybe we'll take that night landing on the carrier. We'll allow you to throw a few more first pitches. That's a good little trade-off there, right?
Yeah, I'll trade you that one any day. Once you do one on the night landing on a carrier, you'll go, I don't want to do that again.
I believe it. I might just ride shotgun for that, Admiral Lindsay. Well, like I said, it's got to be pretty special to be here today. A nice change of pace for you today, I'm sure.
Oh, it is. And like I said, it's a special day whenever you can come hang out with the Padres. They are incredibly supportive. I don't know a professional sports team that's more supportive of our military men and women and their families.
Admiral Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks much. Appreciate it, Annie.
All right, Jesse, Sweens, back to you in the booth.
Annie, Admiral, thank you both very much. And thank you to all who served U.S. Navy Appreciation Day
Can't
here
say
at
it
Petco
enough.
Park today. Arrieta at the plate with one out of the bases empty in the top of the third inning. Hit a home run this year in San Francisco against Eric Rodriguez. He was a silver slugger a couple years ago. Can't sleep on Arrieta. Got that fastball past him, 1-2.
Yeah, one of these pitchers that has that one thought in mind, trying to seek out that fastball and go to pulling.
What do you think about a night landing on an aircraft carrier?
Oh my goodness.
It's not. The runway is moving. Let's start there. It's bobbing up and down in the ocean and moving forward, and it's short. My goodness. Neat flyover today. A couple of FA-18 Super Hornets. Naval Air Station China Lake out in the California desert. Arrieta lays off. Now full count from Lucchesi.
I get goosebumps every time on flyovers. It's just amazing to me.
Top of the order next. Hernandez waiting on deck. Payoff pitch to Arrieta, and he got him. Put the fastball right past him again. Third strikeout of the day for Joey Fuego.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for $49.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription at MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer.
Philly leadoff man with an infield single his first time. More bunt hits than anybody else in the National League this year. And Lucchesi just missing. That high strike has been there much of the day for both of these starting pitchers. Not that time. Hernandez home run last night, 10th of the season. That's a new career high. And really an added bonus for the Philadelphia second baseman. Hernandez last year led the Phillies in average on base percentage, runs, walks, stolen bases. Now he and Santana kind of splitting the leadership in a lot of those categories. Santana always a good on base guy.
It was a breakout season for him last year. He had some inconsistency the year before. I always wonder these younger players are going to take that next step, and what is the key to that?
Phil's wrapping up a West Coast swing. Dropped 2 out of 3 in Arizona. Had the off day here on Thursday, and now playing the rubber game of this series. Padres will stay at home as the Angels come to town. The 3-game series beginning tomorrow night. Philly's been very patient against Joey Lucchesi today. 8 of the 10 batters so far have seen at least 5 pitches. And you see the pitch count now over 50. And now full count to Hernandez. In 5 2/3 in his last start, Lucchesi threw 86 pitches.
I think Hernandez thought he ended up walking.
No, that was ball 3.
Come on back.
That can't be a good feeling.
No, it's hard to lock it back in. It's a lot of stuff.
Elbow pad, batting gloves, Velcro. You sure about that? Yes, I'm quite sure. Thank you.
Embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. It is reviewable, by the way, but by my count, it was ball 3. Now a 3-2 pitch, or a 3-2 pitch, and now ball 4. So that is a walk for Hernandez. Second of the day issued by Lucchesi. And he'll keep it going for Rhys Hoskins. Mentioned the Phillies were off on Thursday. Rhys Hoskins used the day off to make a big decision in his life. I believe Scripps Pier in La Jolla. Padres were playing in Milwaukee. Phillies were relaxing by the beach.
He didn't want to go down to Jersey Shore and do it?
Congratulations to Rhys and Jamie. It's a good way to spend an off day in San Diego. Get engaged. Yeah, I guess it was either La Jolla or Cape May, New Jersey, and he
great choice.
Made the decision to do it here. No offense, Matt Caesar. It's his hometown. Maybe go down to Newark, Delaware.
Like I said,
Trenton.
Great choice.
La Jolla's going to win out from pretty much anywhere. Hoskins is a California guy. Sacramento, hard hit, and Galvis with a nice stop goes the short way, and Freddie with another stellar defensive effort. This one finishes off the top of the 3rd inning. All season long, Gold Glove candidate Freddie Galvis making it look easy on the left side of the Padre infield. The Philadelphia Phillies in the rubber game of this 3-game series. Top of the order against the Philadelphia ace, Jake Arrieta. Signed a free agent deal in March after 4+ years in Chicago. Made his major league debut with the Orioles back in 2010. Jankowski scored the only run of this game. Single to lead off the bottom of the first, and he'll single to lead off the bottom of the third. Went up the middle last time and to the opposite field here.
Tell you what, these type of at-bats I absolutely love, and it's not just going out there and searching for that fastball to pull it. Travis Jankowski just really handles the barrel of the bat so well. And when you watch from the side, you can see him backing it up right to that front leg and have the ability to watch it into left field. Perfect scenario for a left-handed hitter. Nice hitting by Travis Jankowski.
With Renfroe and Reyes hot at the plate, and playing time has been adjusted a little bit in the Padre outfield, and Jankowski gets the nod in place of Manuel Margot today, taking full advantage of the opportunity. Arrieta has now allowed 5 hits, 2 in each of the first 2 innings, including 1 by Eric Hosmer. Talk about a guy that can spray it all over the field. Another check on Travis, who's stolen 15 bags this year. Plus 1 here this afternoon.
This isn't something Jake Arrieta feels comfortable with. See that quick move. Also, he'll hold the ball. Doesn't typically have that slide step that he feels comfortable with. This could change everything with the speed of Jankowski on first.
Padres push the issue, and there he goes. Alfaro, another chance, and too high, not in time. Second of the day for Travis Jankowski. Puts himself right back in scoring position.
You know what, Jesse, when you don't get playing time, there's a certain way that you have to play the game when you're filling in. And Travis Jankowski knows this is what he has to do to disrupt this game. Get on first base and show that speed and score runs. Ultimately is the priority for Travis Jankowski.
In there easily when all was said and done. Alfaro's thrown out a ton of guys, but he's had so many opportunities to do so. And Travis even dirtier now than he was back in the first inning. This was pretty much the exact situation that the Padres had in that opening frame against Arrieta. Jankowski had just stolen second. Hosmer was up, and Eric poked one through the left side. Travis had to hold at third base after waiting to see if the ball would get through, and then Hunter Renfroe grounded into a double play that scored the only run of this game. .88-mile-an-hour changeup from Arrieta. And now 1-2 on Hosmer. Third multi-steal game of the season for Travis Jankowski. Playing in his 84th game of the year. Little tapper, and Jankowski not going to try and advance, but Alfaro and Arrieta come together and nothing happens. Awkward.
A lack of communication, and that is on Alfaro, because you see Jake Arrieta, he gets off the mound, can field his position very well. There's some indecision, and then Alfaro's momentum takes him right into the throwing arm of Jake Arrieta. I got it, you take it.
An odd one, but certainly works out in the Padres' favor. 2 on, nobody out for Renfroe. Jankowski and Hosmer now each 2 for 2, batting here at the top of the order. The last inning, the Padres had the bases loaded, 1 out, did not end up scoring a run. And now another golden opportunity here in the third. Arrieta clearly frustrated. Bases aren't loaded. That seems to be when Hunter's at his best, but obviously an RBI situation here. And the fastball is low, 1-0.
A good scenario for Hunter Renfroe, and why? Because that lower strike has not been called. Anything elevated, Hunter Renfroe can capitalize on it and change this game.
Awkwardly received by Alfaro. That might have cost him a strike. And now 2-0.
Yeah, Jake Arrieta's frustrations are looming with his backstop.
Hitters count for a good hitter. And he misses, 3-0. Arrieta making his 5th career start against the Padres, 2nd this year. He's only faced the Padres here at Petco and at Philadelphia, never in Chicago. 3-0 is at the top of the zone for a strike. Clearly pretty comfortable out on this mound, Arrieta. Good numbers in his career, 2.74 ERA at Petco. Coming into this game. But he's been in trouble really all 3 innings so far. Padres trying to make him pay. Renfroe, hard hit, caught and dropped. Would have been a double play. They'll get just the 1 out. Jankowski was way off second, and I'm sure that's what Franco was thinking about as he lost the ball on that transfer.
You see the reactions of Franco immediately looking towards second base, and that's on the transfer. But Travis Jankowski understanding that line drive and get back. Good base running again by Travis Jankowski.
Just the nature of a secondary lead. You know, he was away from the bag, and I'm sure Franco had a pretty good opportunity to double him up. But he lost the play. Padres catch a break. And we'll see what they can do with Franmil Reyes at the plate. Ball and a strike on Franmil Reyes, looking for his first hit of the series against Arrieta. First time up, grounded to first. And you can see they're playing him way off the line. Hosmer able to stretch off a big lead. If something finds a gap, that could be relevant. This is a pop-up, though. Infield fly rule has been called, and 2 away as Hernandez makes the catch. Time now for Tools of the Trade, brought to you by Ram Trucks.
Well, it's not Jake Arrieta that's doing the mound. You can see the rocking the beard. You're wondering if it was indeed Jake Arrieta, but no, it was Nick Piglowski on the grounds crew. Matt Balo and the group do such a great job, but I didn't know Jake Arrieta was doing his own mound today.
I was going to say, it explains the good numbers at Petco over the course of his career.
Sure does.
He just goes out there, and before the game, he rakes it to his own personal specifications. That's funny.
I want to know his groomer, because that was impressive.
Inside to Austin Hedges, who singled his first time.
I think Jake just went to the team shop and said, hey, listen, I'm going to act the part.
And I have a polo, pair of shorts, belt, okay. Well, a little bit like last night started for the Phils. Aaron Nola. Arrieta is not overly sharp right now, but he's getting away with a lot. And the Padres yesterday left 10 men on base. They were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And it's still early. You'd like to see that one big hit that really busts it open a bit. You were talking earlier with Lucchesi about, being wild sometimes can help you be more effective, and I think there's some of that going on with Arrieta.
There's definitely, and he's gone to his slider the second time through. Didn't see much of it the first time through. Typically, those starters will put something in their pocket. Heavy dose of sliders to Hunter Renfroe and also Austin Hedges. This at bat.
Austin taking, and that's ball 4. So the base is loaded now for a second consecutive inning. This time with 2 away. Freddie Galvis coming up.
One of those at-bats that Freddie Galvis has to control his emotions. Playing his former club, knowing how important this scenario is.
Switch hitter from the left side, flew out to right field his first time. There's that high strike, 0-1. Galvis, of course, never played with Arrieta in Philadelphia. And Rick Kranitz, pitching coach, on the horn early here.
As you alluded to earlier, Jesse, 8 innings in his last start against Arizona, so there might be a quick hook for Jake Arrieta.
Yeah, 110 pitches. Got to keep that in mind. The jacket's coming off. Aaron Loop.
And a high changeup to Freddie Galvis.
Jankowski, Hosmer, Hedges, the 3 base runners. Now the 1-2 to Galvis, and he stays alive. Arrieta comes in with a 9-6 record this year. Ball strike ratio not where he'd like it to be. Nola picked up his 13th win in that game last night. He's the first Philly starter to get to 13 wins since Cliff Lee did it 5 years ago. Inside to Galvis, 2-2. Padres had a 13-game winner last year. It was Chacin. James Shields did it in 2015. Ian Kennedy, Tyson Ross both did it in 2014. So the Padres have had 4 different guys win 13 games since the Phillies last did. Two to Galvis, struck pretty well out to straightaway center field. Quinn is racing back at the wall. It's a grand slam. Freddie Galvis clears the bases. Galvis had a pair of RBI singles against Arrieta in Philly last month, and now the first grand slam of his career. 5-0 Padres in the 3rd.
Jesse, we said he had to control his emotions in this at-bat. Going against your former club, sometimes you can amp up just a little too much. Freddie Galvis constructed an at-bat. I tell you what, watch pitch by pitch and how he does this. He takes that first pitch, the high strike has been called. Then he goes to work, gets a changeup, back-to-back changeups, and then he goes to work, and it was incredible at-bat. Freddie Galvis with the grand slam.
Oh boy, are the Phillies going to be ready to be done with him after this game. Galvis now 9 for 20 against his old team in 2 series this year. Hunter Renfroe had hit each of the last 4 Padre grand slams. And now Freddie Galvis steps up in a huge way. What a feeling. It has not been Jake Arrieta's day, and finally the Padres made him pay. Galvis a free agent at the end of the year. You wonder if the Phils are going to be calling. Gets Villanueva to end the inning. Only the 2nd strikeout of the day for Jake Arrieta. But as they say, the damage has been done. first time in his career. Freddie Galvis, grande salami. 5-0 Padres after 3. Game in a big way now, 5-0 Padres, as we open up the 4th inning and welcome Tony Gwynn Jr. back to the booth.
Hello, gentlemen.
Grand slam against your old team.
For Freddie.
Yes.
Yes.
No, not you. Sorry.
I mean, Freddie's been absolutely destroying the Phillies. I think he wishes he could play against him every day, probably.
They don't.
No, they don't want to see him anymore.
And Tony, how do you feel going back against your former club? I mean, you've done it. There's a little more motivation, isn't there?
There's definite motivation. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying. I think you always look forward to playing against a team. You find ways to motivate yourself when it's an old team.
9 for 20 now for Galvis against the Phils this season with 9 runs batted in.
I mean, it could have ended. Freddie's tenure in Philly could have ended with a standing ovation. They could have given him all kinds of crazy gifts. And next time he faced him, he still would want to do as much damage as possible.
Well, he's done that and then some. He had back-to-back 3-hit games in that series at Philly, the first 2 games of the series. He had never had back-to-back 3-hit games in his career. And the first 2 games he ever played against the team that developed him and gave him his major league debut, he does it.
Oh, and by the way, throwing some defense out, some leather against Rhys Hoskins. Not even worried about it.
Yeah, pretty good 3rd inning, right?
Ho hum. Same old from Freddie Galvis.
Listen, I love guys that just check in and go to work. That's what Freddie Galvis is all about.
Williams flew out to deep center field his first time and strikes out this time. Opportunity to pitch with a nice little cushion here for Joey Lucchese.
Yeah, this is probably his best fastball. The location of this fastball is perfectly placed. And also Austin Hedges' glove work. Sticking the landing.
Santana 0 for this series, just stings this one to deep center. Jankowski, though, goes back and makes the play. Boy, Travis made that look really, really easy.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit about it yesterday, about outfielders having an understanding of their yard. You see Jankowski go back, doesn't take his eye off this ball. You heard him talk in his defensive work yesterday when he was talking to Mike Pomeranz. He doesn't like to take his eye off the ball. You see him knowing exactly where he was, when he got to the warning track, when he needed to jump. Makes it look easy, as you said, Jesse.
Couple of stolen bases. Good hair day.
Always a good hair day for him.
Unbelievable.
I'm not a hair guy.
Me neither.
well established. Not a lot of hair guys on this show. Fastball a little bit low to Asdrubal Cabrera, who walked his first time. It's interesting because that pitch, I mean, you see it with the box. It's a strike, but not at any point today has it been called that way. And consistency at least makes you know what is and is not there. Cabrera pretty well struck. Long run again, and Jankowski there to make another great catch. Travis Jankowski, what can't you do out in center field? Took one away from Santana, and extra bases away from Asdrubal Cabrera. Pitcher appreciates that. Brought to you by Petco, the pet company, and by USAA, proudly serving the needs of the military community for over 90 years. Corey Spangenberg to lead it off at the bottom of the fourth against Jake Arrieta, and just foul.
That was close.
Not reviewable. Mike Malinsky, the first base umpire, closer than we were. I always look to the base coaches on those plays. Corey walked his first time. Padres handled the Phillies nicely here last year. Won the first game of this series, so they had won 4 straight home games against the Phillies. It was the first time the Padres pulled that off since 1998, Mark Sweeney.
What happened that year?
Good things, very good things.
I think that team was pretty good.
20 years ago. How time flies.
Tell me about it.
Go, Corey. Find one away, babe.
Arrieta struck out Villanueva to end the last inning, and he strikes out Spangenberg to start the fourth. Only his 3rd K of the afternoon. This really does remind me a lot of what Nola was going through last night with Arrieta. It's just the Padres have made Arrieta pay for it.
Yeah, yesterday the Padres did a good job of, I should say today they've done a much better job of capitalizing on the mistakes that Arrieta has made today. Whereas yesterday Nola, who wasn't as sharp as he normally is able to kind of maneuver his way through the lane.
Well struck by Lucchesi, and Cabrera nearly came up with it, did not. And Joey is aboard with a base hit. Second major league hit for Lucchesi, and he's rewarded for hitting the ball hard.
You see Cabrera really tied him up in knots with that short hop. The opportunity. He's frustrated himself. But watch Joey Lucchesi. Hits that liner, and he thinks that Cabrera's making the play. Put your head down and run, Joey.
He smelled that hit after he saw that ball get booted.
Cabrera not especially known for his defense. You talk about the Phillies being a game up on the Braves coming into play today. Atlanta, by the way, in a wild one, beat Milwaukee 8-7, and I'm sure the Phils are very aware of that down in their dugout. But one of the things that could be a challenge, I think, for this Philly team is defensively. There are a number of guys, maybe get a little bit of a red flag next to their name.
Yeah, and you know what? You look at some of those weaknesses that these clubs, and I think throughout the National League, every club that's in contention for the playoffs has a certain weakness. And definitely for the Phillies to shore up their defense and be able to back this starting rotation is going to be a priority.
Nice day so far for Travis Jankowski. A couple of singles, a couple of stolen bases, a couple of runs scored.
Well, Tony, wanted to ask you too, the setting the tone, and it's been with the stolen base for Jankowski today that I think has disrupted Jake Arrieta, which is pretty important to have, especially after a loss.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Arrieta is notorious for being slow to the plate. I think it was a couple last year where Miguel Montero wasn't really happy with how long it was taking Jake Arrieta. So clearly he's a guy that players can run on, and Jankowski took advantage of it twice today.
And that was an awkward one last year. Catcher calling out the star pitcher. And Miguel Montero's tenure with the Cubs ended shortly thereafter.
Got to pick your battles. But you're right, Jesse, the defensive side, and I talked to Gabe Kapler about that earlier today, and he's been surprised, pleasantly surprised in his words, by Asdrubal Cabrera and the defense that he has brought. He feels like they've done a better job of actually placing defenders in the right spot as they've gone through the season.
Cabrera played the majority of second base for the New York Mets, but shifting over to his natural position. Might be a nice shot in the arm.
Hosmer singled each of his first two at bats. Opposite field shot in the first, an infield single in the third. That was a moment of frustration for Arrieta, certainly. It was a little tapper kind of midway between the plate and the mound. And Arrieta and the catcher Alfaro both went down to pick up the baseball. And generally, that's not a good recipe for making a play.
Yeah, that was the key play to that inning.
Yep.
Now, Gabe Kapler's not known for the pitch out, but in this scenario, with already 2 stolen bases on the day, this might be a scenario that he picks a spot.
That's a nice size lead for Jankowski. Not running. And a strike.
Travis is a very intelligent base runner. He generally runs in the perfect count. Very rarely does he get a bad jump over there. He's well schooled when he gets on first base. He knows exactly what he's looking for from any given particular pitcher.
There he goes. And on a foul ball the other way, he'll have to retreat.
Once again, got a tremendous jump on this pitch right here. Fastball up and into Hosmer. He's able to get off a good swing, landed foul, but Jankowski continues to put pressure on Jake Arrieta.
Not running, and Hosmer another little roller, this time up the line at first. That's a fair ball, and the end of the inning. Padres leave a man, but have the 5-0 lead after 4. Chris Sale came off the disabled list today, and this is not fair for the poor Baltimore Orioles. Sale faced 16 batters. Guys, he struck out 12 of them.
That isn't fair. I mean, comes right off the DL and gets right back at it.
And you wonder if the Boston Red Sox did this on purpose, because he struggled down in the second half last year. They need Chris Sale.
Yeah.
They needed that ace, and he is exactly that, as he showed today. Leads the league in strikeouts with 219.
I'll remind people that in today's day and age, if you get to 200 in a season, people go, oh, that's good. It didn't used to be that way, but it is now with guys throwing fewer innings. I mean, 200 strikeouts in a season is something we legitimately talk about, and he's above and beyond that, having just come off the DL in early August. Franco, Quinn, Alfaro, 6, 7, and 8 for the Phils here against Joey Lucchesi. Trying to get some length out of the rotation. Jacob Nix threw 6 on Friday night. He is the only Padre to get through 6 in a start the last few weeks. And Joey certainly in position to do so today. Nice big league debut. Franco grounded into a double play back in the second inning. And you look up there, Lucchesi's allowed only 1 hit. It was the infield single by Cesar Hernandez to start the game.
He's allowed 1 hit. And not only does he allow 1 hit, he's done it relatively efficiently. I mean, I know he had a rough first inning as far as control, but
a couple of nice defensive plays last inning. This one gets over the head of Hunter Renfroe. He's got the good arm. Franco's going for 2, and they got him nailed. Another tip of the cap.
Well, you see Hunter Renfroe playing this off the wall and bare hands it. Here comes the bazooka. Not your typical arm in left field. And the tag by Corey Spangenberg. That's a mistake by Franco. Leading off that inning, you don't want to make that first out at second base.
not down 5 runs, certainly not.
Technically the second hit of the day for the Phils, but obviously the out is the thing for Joey Lucchesi. Now the switch hitting center fielder Roman Quinn grounded to short his first time, and he fouls that one off of Austin Hedges. 0-1.
Certainly wasn't the ideal route that Hunter Renfroe ran, but was able to recover with that bazooka of an arm that he has.
Some hard hit balls last couple of innings, but the Padre defense has been there for Lucchesi. And you know what, guys, with a 5-0 lead, throw strikes. Let them take their hacks, see what happens. Joey will handle this one himself. Out number 2.
Well, guys, there's a phrase in the game that I think really comes into mind, and it's effectively wild. That's what Joey Lucchesi was at the beginning of his start. Now he's settled in nicely and feels like he's got a command of all of his pitches. With that 5-0 lead, he can throw any pitch at any time. That might help as well.
I think we both know when a guy is effectively wild early and he settles in, that can throw a hitter off. You're kind of, I don't want to say to use the word scared, but you're on notice. And the less comfortable you can be in the box, more of an advantage it is for the pitcher.
Alfaro hit a comebacker his last time, 0 for 1. Broken bat grounder. Spangenberg perfectly positioned, and that is the top of the 5th inning. Joey Fuego is on a roll. 5-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. And time now for our Valley View Casino trivia question. How many different National League pitchers have been 20-game winners since 2010? Well, at least that guy, Jake Arrieta, has done it once. He did it in his Cy Young year in 2015. 22-6 with a 1.77 ERA. That was pretty ridiculous.
I feel like Kershaw's in there somewhere.
Sure. Scherzer, I would think. The late Roy Halladay in that time, I believe, may have done it. So how many? The guys who pitched in the 70s and 80s are rolling their eyes right now.
Yes.
Ooh, 20 wins. He made 30 starts. My goodness, 200 innings, really? Randy Jones threw 500 innings a year, every year, and he walked to school uphill both ways.
Exactly.
In snow.
In the summer. Game has changed. Every generation. Arrieta was not in the on-deck circle when the top of this inning came to a close. They had Scott Kingery out there, but the spot never came up, and so he's out here trying to get through 5 innings. Against the Padres last month, he didn't get through 4. Tied up Hunter there, and that is his 4th strikeout of the afternoon. 1 down here in the bottom of the 5th.
Look at what looks like a changeup right there. Ball's chasing Hunter Renfroe. Unable to check his swing there for the strikeout.
A little bit away to Franmil Reyes. That's in the air right field, but Williams zigzags his way towards the baseball to make the catch, and 2 down in the bottom of the 5th inning. Arrieta getting ready to face Austin Hedges. Time now for the Kia Drive to Success. It involves the Padre catcher, one of the highest slugging percentage in all of baseball so far in the month of August. That's a good list to be on. So the Red Sox have 2 of those guys. I get Chris Sale back. Good team, the Boston Red Sox. You guys were talking about that in the pregame show, Tony, and I think they're the prohibitive favorites at this point just because of how far out in front of everybody they seem to be in the American League. Interesting conversation to have. We'll do so next inning. Padres with a 5-0 lead after 5.
in the batter's box and you're seeing pitches and maybe you punch out, you make an adjustment the next time you come up to the plate. It's the same thing as a manager. You know, if you missed an emotional moment where you could have approached a player or made a different decision on the field, you learn from it and you go back to the drawing board and you get better, and you take your ego out of it completely. And I think that's one factor that I've tried to consider all the time, taking ego out of it.
Some pretty good advice, and I think some pretty good honesty from the Philly manager, Gabe Kapler, talking to Tony before the game today, guys. And I like that. He says, yeah, I made mistakes at the beginning of the season. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't, but just as I did as a hitter, I'm going to learn from them.
Yeah, first off, good job on the interview, too. For Gabe Kapler, a teammate of both of ours, you understand he has learned and watched the game through his eyes, but also he's not afraid to make a mistake and own it. And if you've ever been around Gabe Kapler, he has a lot of confidence in himself, confidence in his abilities, and confidence to adjust. And he's had to do that his whole career as a player. But now as a first-year manager, going through those troubling times at the beginning of the year, I think it helped him.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think those who've been around Gabe, I think got an understanding early on that he has the right kind of mindset to be a manager. He does really well. He's open to so many different things. He's not really closed off to anything. And I think as a manager, especially in today's game, you have to be more open-minded and willing to try things. And as you said, Gabe is a confident guy, but when he makes mistakes, he's not afraid to admit he made a mistake. And you heard him say check his ego. That's something that I think bodes well for him as a manager.
And, of course, Philadelphia is a tough place to learn on the fly. He did have that rough, I don't know, his first week and a half, and they were all over him, not only in terms of booing him at the ballpark, but in the papers there, sports radio, social media, the whole thing. And you got to be able to absorb those blows and kind of move on from them.
Yeah, and you know, it's easy to make adjustments, too, when you're sitting on top. And most of the time, they have been in competitive area with the Atlanta Braves. You know, the Philadelphia Philly fans are tough on you when you start realizing you're not reaching your potential. So those challenges in front of Gabe Kapler, because it's going to happen in the game of baseball, they're setting a bar high, and they have the ability to sustain success because of their younger talent, especially in the starting rotation.
Pinch hitter Scott Kingery at the plate in place of Jake Arrieta has worked it to a 3-1 count against Lucchesi.
You know, Gabe has worked in so many different areas in baseball. He's been a manager in the minor leagues. He's been director of player development for the Dodgers. He's been on the TV side. So he has really hit all corners of this game. And so he knows what is expected of him as a manager, not just only on baseball, but things that don't necessarily involve things that are on the field.
Yeah, and he has the ability to personalize everything. He has a lot of individual communication. Came to the field the other day at 2 o'clock, and Gabe Kapler's got one of his players out in left field having a conversation with him. So there's always constant communication, and every single player is going to know what his role is.
Braves have picked up a half game today with that win over Milwaukee, and so if the lead holds here for the Padres, it'll be a tie atop the National League East heading into this next week. 3-2 to the pinch hitter, and Kingery, who started all 3 games in Philadelphia against the Padres, has seen his playing time reduced in a big way since Asdrubal Cabrera picked up from the Mets, and is stuck in an 0 for 20 right now. Never easy.
It's especially tough for a young guy to have every day at bats, and all of a sudden you're on the bench and have to learn how to get your hitting rhythm that way. It's a little bit of an adjustment.
Margot is coming to play center field. Franmil Reyes done for the day as Jankowski moves to right. And finally, on the 8th pitch of the at-bat, Kingery strikes out. That's 5 for Joey Lucchesi.
Kingery did his best fouling off pitches. Lucchesi, Joey Fuego goes with the fastball in, locates it well. He's able to get the punch out.
Tied his career high with 9 Ks last Sunday at Wrigley Field. And 5 so far as he tries to get through 6 innings. Top of the order now. And Hernandez takes a ball. Lucchese got through 6th in both his 3rd and 4th career starts, not since. Went 5 2/3 last time out. Certainly in position pitch count wise to do so today. It's just a matter of continuing to be effective, and he has been all afternoon. That first inning trouble actually began with the infield single by Hernandez. The passed ball. It's kind of a long inning for Joey, but he worked around it. Two balls and 2 strikes to Cesar Hernandez, and a ground ball to Spangenberg. Nicely done by Corey, and all afternoon so far in back of Joey Lucchese, Padres have done a good job with the glove work, infield and outfield. Freddie Galvis, you know, just more of the same. Couldn't have made that look any easier. Jankowski's gone back on a couple in the outfield. This great running catch, and then last inning, Hunter Renfroe had one go over his head, but fired a strike to second base to cut down Michael Franco. And Lucchese's been tipping the cap all day long.
Well, obviously they listened to our broadcast last night talking about defense, but yes, they put on an absolute show today, and they've shown all facets of the defensive ability to back Joey Lucchese, who I think has settled in very nicely.
It's really the way that Joey Lucchese is going to have the most success, pitching the contact, trusting his defense behind him, and the defense has done their job behind him and made the plays that he needed.
We hear that so often from Andy Green when asked about his young pitchers. He just wants them to go out there, pitch with conviction. That's the word he always uses. Trust your stuff, basically.
Yeah, that's a consistent message from Andy Green, and I think it's exactly what you want from your younger pitchers. Also the position players, go out there, be aggressive, and back off if you have to, but err with the aggressive nature, and I think that's what Andy Green wants.
Hoskins fouls one away now. 2 balls and a strike. Talked earlier about that C-flap on his helmet that Hoskins is wearing to protect his cheek. Broke his jaw earlier this year. Fouled a ball off of himself against Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers. Came back up, hit him. He missed like a week and a half with a broken jaw. That's pretty unbelievable. That's hard hit and foul. Let's take a look at the answer to our Valley View Casino trivia question. Number of 20-game winners in the National League since 2010. Niner. Wainwright's done it twice. Kershaw, of course, Arrieta, Cueto, Gio Gonzalez, R.A. Dickey.
Yeah.
Ian Kennedy, Roy Halladay, and Max Scherzer.
We had 5 of those guys. 4 of those guys.
You know what? Jason Marquis told me one time, he said, you can win with 15 wins with good stuff. He said the rest of the 5, it's really luck. And it comes down to it. Makes a lot of sense. From that pitcher's perspective, you have to be lucky on those times when you don't have your stuff, but your offense picks you up and gets you a win.
But that does make a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know that there's a difference between stuff-wise 15 and 20 wins, but you're right, the defense behind you could help you get those extra 5.
Or the run support. That random day you give up 4 or 5, but they get you 8 or 9. That's ball 4 to Hoskins. 3rd walk of the day issued by Lucchese, a 2-out base runner. Padres trying to take 2 out of 3 from Philadelphia, as they did against Milwaukee on the last trip. Split 4 at Wrigley as well. Padres with their first winning road trip of the season and trying to keep the momentum rolling here at home. Cole Hamels was not on that list of 20-game winners. Nick Williams here acquired from Texas in the Cole Hamels trade as Phil Maton starts to heat it up. Double-barreled action in the Philadelphia bullpen. Arrieta done after being hit for this inning. No balls, 2 strikes on Nick Williams, and he lays off that pitch in the dirt. Casey struck him out back in the 4th inning. On 1 and 2, he gets him. Fastball down. Williams frustrated. Inning over. 6 strikeouts in 6 shutout innings.
Well, Freddie Galvis had the bottom of the 3rd in mind with 2 outs. He had to construct an at-bat, and that's what he did. Back-to-back change-ups, and then he ends up going the curveball. 2 strikes, and he goes to work. That's the pitch right there, the borderline pitch, enabling him to get the mistake out of the hands of Jake Arrieta for home run number 8 in his first grand slam of his career against his former club.
Luis Garcia on to throw in relief of Arrieta, who allowed 5 in 5. Garcia came on to get a couple of outs in the 8th inning on Friday night. Did give up a single to Eric Hosmer, likely won't face him this inning, and Galvis takes a 96-mile-per-hour fastball for strike 1. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Grand Slam HR in the box.
Certainly does. Took Freddie 2,696 at bats to get that first grand slam.
That's a long wait, but it feels good.
I'm sure it does.
Did you add that up all on your own?
I'd be lying if I said I did.
You're supposed to lie. It's television. Yeah, of course I did. I pulled up the baseball reference and got the calculator out. Was that a JP?
That was a JP.
I figured.
Shout out to JP Nolan.
2-2 now as the Padres are seeing some upper 90s heat from Garcia. Freddie Galvis really been a lot of fun to watch this year for Padre fans. Mostly talk about the defense, but obviously the grand slam here today, a big deal. Now driven in 9 runs in 6 games against his former team this season. Garcia's been good as of late. Not allowed a run. 11 strikeouts in his last 8 appearances. Payoff pitch to Galvis. Gets to the backstop. He swung and he will not go down to first base. So that's a strikeout for Luis Garcia. And 1 down in the bottom of the 6th. August 12th is today's date, and on this date in Padre history, oh yeah, you better believe it, 1984 Fight Night in Atlanta. One of the most absolutely unbelievable games in Major League history.
Yeah, Jerry Springer, even in the fans, go throw it.
You know it's bad when the pitcher doesn't charge and the catcher actually turns to get the pitcher himself.
When all was said and done, they brawled like 80 times. Both managers, 13 players ejected, and 5 fans arrested.
Yeah, my man Tim Flannery in the mix.
I was about to say there's probably 6 or 7 shirtless players too.
Kurt
Throughout the course of Ed Whitson.
Ed Whitson, yeah. Villanueva, the single and a strikeout today. Take a look at StatCast AI, powered by AWS.
High percentage over there.
Can certainly understand why the Phils put 3 infielders over on the left side. I know for a lot of years, whenever the Padres went to Atlanta, they would have that game on loop.
Yeah.
On the TVs in the clubhouse.
Yeah. I remember going into the old Turner Field, and that video being set up the moment you walked in the dugout or the clubhouse.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Garcia here in the 6th. I mean, we all know what most baseball brawls are. They are not that.
No. It's usually a lot of
pent-up frustration
that doesn't actually get used. But that one was the real deal.
Which one?
One of the 7.
One of the 7.
You can pick any of them.
That one was a real deal. The next one was a real deal. You never want to see the fans getting involved.
No.
Spangenberg goes after the first pitch fastball. 0-1 on Corey. He has walked in, struck out today. Casey's spot is next, probably done no matter what, and Jose Perella in the on-deck circle. 6 shutout innings for the rookie left-hander. Middle of the order due up in the top of the 7th inning for the Phils. And Jose Castillo, the hard-throwing left-hander, appears to be ready. Six shutout innings, 6 strikeouts. for the young left-hander. Did an outstanding job this afternoon. Spangenberg's got to get out of the way. 1-2. He really doesn't want to be seen. Garcia has struck out the first 2 Padres he has faced, and now I'm not sure whether he knows it or not, but he does have to throw at least one more pitch to Corey Spangenberg.
He's having a staring contest.
Here we go. Maybe more than one. There we go. 2-2
for that, huh?
Yeah.
As a hitter, when a pitcher looks in that long, did you ever start to think, is he going to throw a pitch that he doesn't throw? That he doesn't, not even in his arsenal?
I had a clock, and I was like, I can't wait here that long.
Full count, 3-2. They have come to an agreement. And the payoff pitch to Spangenberg is outside, ball 4.
When you're America's best value, you don't need a jingle. You don't need a jingle. Jingle.
The inning will continue here against Luis Garcia. Padres 5-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Jose Pirela going to hit for Joey Lucchesi. That officially ends his afternoon. Joey in position to pick up his 6th win in the big leagues. Did not see Pirela in Friday night's game. Had a pinch hit walk in the 7th inning yesterday, and he takes an off-speed pitch for a strike. 0-1. A lot of fastballs from Luis Garcia against Galvis Villanueva Spangenberg, but that was a changeup to Pirela. Could have asked for much more out of Lucchesi here today. Talked about Will Myers getting ready to play third base for the Lake Elsinore club today on a 1-game rehab assignment. Be very interesting to see how playing time in the infield is divided coming back, assuming Will starts to see some big league action at the hot corner. Pirela obviously will be impacted. Strikes out here, and the inning is over. 3 strikeouts in the bottom of the 6th for Luis Garcia. It starts certainly with the Padres starting pitcher, Joey Lucchesi, 25-year-old left-hander in his 18th major league start, ties his career high, going 6 shutout innings. Meanwhile, big moment in the third. Eric Hosmer, a little bit of a dribbler. Arrieta and Alfaro couldn't handle it. That set the stage for this. Freddie Galvis, bases loaded. When the ball goes over the wall, that is a grand slam. First of his career, and to put the Padres in front 5-0 in the bottom of the third inning. That is still the score as we go to the 7th. Arrieta struggled with his command. Padres finally made him pay. Lucchesi, one of the best starts of his young career. And nice to see some offensive contributions all over the batting order.
Yeah, they looked very comfortable today. Obviously, the big swing from Freddie Galvis. I think Travis Jankowski has set the tone at the leadoff spot.
So the Padres will turn it over to the bullpen here in the 7th inning. Jose Castillo, the hard-throwing left-hander, against Carlos Santana. And 95 right out of the chute.
Jose Castillo last pitched Thursday in that final game of the Milwaukee Brewers series. He's been very impressive. Runners in scoring position, 2 for 20. Not a math major, but that's 100. And that's not very good average. But for Jose Castillo, it has a lot to do with any pitch at any time. Very aggressive with his fastball, but can land the breaking ball at any time.
'96 right at the top of the zone there. Santana flew out to deep center his last time. Nice running grab by Jankowski. And there's the off speed for a strike, 2-2.
Has that mound presence that you like. Has a calmness about him. And when you throw 96, 97 miles an hour and you have that calmness, that can bode well for any situation out of the bullpen.
Santana takes on the outside corner, strike 3 call. Carlos Santana still out there looking for his first hit of this series. Castillo punches him out. 1 away in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, the first pitch strike fastball really set up everything the rest of the way. Back-to-back breaking balls for the punch out. Perfect location.
Another switch hitter, this time as Drupal Cabrera. And like Santana before him, hit the ball pretty well his last time, but Jankowski tracked it down on the outfield. And another slider for a strike. To Cabrera and over to Spangenberg. Corey's had a busy day defensively, handled everything. And now number 2 for Jose Castillo. Looking around baseball, some hot bats. Matt Chapman with the A's. Giancarlo Stanton homered again today. Trevor Bauer, not a hot bat, but 4-0 in his last 4 with an ERA just over 1. I tell you what, Matt Chapman.
Oof.
I mean, it's Arenado-esque defensively at third base.
He's the talk of baseball, especially defensively, but obviously offensively helping him out. But Trevor Bauer in the conversation of Cy Young Award. You would think it would be Corey Kluber. Trevor Bauer got his 12th win yesterday, but did have to leave his start a little bit early. He took a line drive off the right ankle.
Indians seem to think he'll be okay to make his next start, but always something to be aware of. Bauer, by the way, is in that conversation for me as the most interesting guy in baseball. At this point, it could be a 2-man race. I got Bauer and Joey Votto.
Wow, I'd like to lock them in the room. Have them have that conversation.
Talking a lot about defense yesterday. Most defensive runs saved in 2018. There you go. It's the A's third baseman. He and Arenado, by the way, they went to the same high school, and they might be the two best defensive third basemen of the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and Matt Chapman to me is a Matt Williams clone, and Matt Williams is the third base coach for the Oakland A's. How about those conversations?
That one is going to find its way through the right side of the infield. Only the third hit of the day for Philadelphia, first against Castillo. We got the first couple of guys here in the top of the 7th inning. A's, by the way, are up the 5 in Anaheim, taking care of the Angels, who will, of course, head down here to open up a 3-game series tomorrow night. No Mike Trout. It's disappointing.
Could be also Albert Pujols' last appearance here at Petco Park. And Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani has not played the outfield this year in the National League games. He's, come off the bench to pinch hit. Certainly a decent chance, I would think, that he'll get into a game at some point tomorrow, Tuesday or Wednesday. Popped him up. That just makes it look as easy as anyone. A hit and a man left here in the top of the 7th for the Phillies. Jose Castillo doing his thing as the Padres keep rolling right along here in the final game of this series against the Philadelphia Phillies. On U.S. Navy Appreciation Day, let's check in with the PA announcer here at Petco Park, Alex Miniak.
It's time for the 7th inning stretch. Before we sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game here on Military Sunday, please stand and welcome back U.S. Navy Petty Officer 2nd Class Diane Dumpin. Please sing along as she presents God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America,
Baseball brought to you by Sequan Casino. Opening in 2019, Sequan's brand new 300-room resort and hotel. By Jack in the Box. This season, Padres home runs score free Jumbo Jacks. Only at Jack in the Box. And by USAA, official military appreciation partner of the San Diego Padres. (5-0) San Diego in the bottom of the 7th inning. U.S. Navy appreciation here at Petco Park. 9 sailors recently selected to be Chief Petty Officers took the field at the beginning of the game with the Padres. Marine recruits here. And a beautiful summer Sunday for baseball. Travis Jankowski leading off as the Padres try and add on. Travis has been a big part of the offensive success here today.
Yeah, he's going to take on Adam Morgan, the second appearance in this series. Friday night, inning and a third. Struck out 3 of the Padre hitters.
Oft used left-hander for Gabe Kapler. In front of Jankowski now, 0-2. That's what you call filling up a box score. Also made some great running grabs out in center field, has since moved over to right. Behind here, though. Hosmer singled against Morgan on Friday. He's on deck. Close, but no cigar. 1-2 to Jankowski. Morgan relieving Luis Garcia, who took his time working a scoreless 6th. 2-2. A little bit low, and it's funny, you saw Morgan shake off his catcher Alfaro a couple of times there. I love something Robert Stock, the Padre right-hander, said after the game last night. I think he was asked about working with Austin Hedges. He said, I've never shaken him off. I throw whatever he says. I think they were talking specifically about the at-bat with Hoskins. It was all sliders. And I loved what Stock said. He goes, he does all the homework. He's back there feeling hitters' swings all game. I'm in the bullpen eating seeds 500 feet away.
Yeah, and I love that because Robert Stock, 2 2/3 innings last night, 4 punch-outs. He continues to have a very good body of work for Andy Green.
That was a really valuable 2 2/3 yesterday after Lockett went 4 1/3 in the start. It allowed Andy to just kind of use the bullpen normally in the last couple of innings. Maton worked 1, Winginter worked 1. Jankowski draws the lead walk. That sets it up for Hosmer, who's 2 for 3. Jankowski running again, already has a couple of steals. Make it 3. At this point, it's hard to imagine that he had been caught 4 times this season.
And all 3 of the stolen bases came on that first pitch. And I like the aggressiveness from Travis Jankowski. And plus, he's got the locks. They're flowing out of that helmet. Alfaro is going to take that long trip to Philadelphia after this game and think about Travis Jankowski.
Hosmer pops it up, and that'll get out of play. Let's get more on Travis Jankowski with Annie Heilbrunn.
Yeah, guys, just to talk about what you're mentioning in the booth there about Travis Jankowski. I talked to him earlier this week, and he said He used the phrase, it's gut check time. He said that there's so many talented outfielders right now that he knows he needs to separate himself. So he said he's going to do everything he can. He said he's not the big home run guy, so he's going to get on base, steal base however he can, score runs, and just put the pressure on the opposing team as much as possible. But what really stood out is just how much it means to him. Like, you can really tell when you're talking to him that this is very important to him and that he knows his strengths and he is going to capitalize them as much as possible right now.
Well, thank you, Annie. And anytime a player gets sent down or gets disappointed after a very successful spring training, you start evaluating yourself and you understand it really is day to day. And Travis Jankowski's mentality has changed with experience and also those shortcomings when you get sent down.
You mentioned he spent basically the first month of this season at AAA. Did not make the club at a spring training and went down to El Paso and hit .363. And I know it's a hitter's league. The point is he didn't go down there, he didn't mope. You know, he didn't have his head down. I'm sure he didn't want to be there, but he did everything he could have possibly done to put himself in a position to come back, and he has.
Once you taste the big leagues, you don't want to go anywhere else. And when you do, it can be challenging mentally. But those ones that persevere through those challenges are the ones that get that call back, and they're a different player.
Osmer just kind of reaching out, poking that one into the air. Franco will make the play.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Hunter Renfroe now will try and pick up Jankowski, who today became the first Padre with 3 stolen bases in a game since Will Myers did it last August against Philadelphia. That's funny that you think even back to spring training. I remember Andy Green talking about Travis Jankowski at the beginning of spring and saying, look, he does not have the power that a Cordero or a Reyes or a Renfroe has. He steals another. And he's going to have to bunt. He's going to have to steal. He's going to have to fly around. He's going to have to play great defense. And Travis knows that.
And you can change a game. It doesn't have to be with your bat. It doesn't have to be defensively all the time. It can be with your legs, and he is putting on a show today.
Relentless.
And he likes that uniform dirty, as you talked about earlier in this game. That's a successful game when the clubhouse guys have to wash your uniform twice.
First 4-steal game of Jankowski's career, and now the Phils got to bring the infield in with Renfroe at the plate. Travis 90 feet away from adding some insurance here in the 7th. Two balls at his strike to Renfroe. And hey, not for nothing, with a left-handed pitcher on the mound. Just remember, he's got his back to Travis Jankowski.
Alfaro has been challenged in this series with the pass balls too. Wild pitches. Puts a lot of pressure on him when he's on third base.
Yeah, between last month in Philly and this series, Alfaro will be happy to be done with the Padres this year. Renfroe, ground ball, they were in. Franco's coming home, and it gets away. Jankowski touches the plate, on to second base Renfroe, and it's 6-0. Put the ball in play.
Jesse, speed kills. I tell you what, Gabe Kapler is going crazy because this is an add-on run that wasn't necessary. Maikel Franco had an opportunity and had more time. But because of Travis Jankowski's speed and the break off the base, quickened his throw, and he launches this one past Alfaro. Not only does Jankowski score on this play, but Hunter Renfroe, after that error, goes back to second base.
You think Jankowski slamming on the brakes at all might have disrupted the vision of the catcher?
Yeah, I think that was one of those things. I think Travis knew that he was going to be in a rundown situation.
First at bat now for Manuel Margot came on defensively in the 6th inning. Manuel had a great trip to Chicago, Milwaukee, looking for his first hit of this series. 0 for 4 each of the first 2 games. Did have a sacrifice fly last night. Brought home the only Padre run of the game. Trying to find some space down that right field line, but that's foul. 0-2. Where you talk about just creating a run out of thin air. Jankowski stealing second, stealing third, forcing the Phillies to not only bring the infield in, but then make the play. Travis just the 8th Padre ever to have 4 stolen bases in one game. Unofficial trivia. Can you name the last Padre to have 4 stolen bases in a game?
You know me with trivia.
Oh, it's more for everybody. Everett Cabrera in 2012. Franco, a little bit more routine this time, checks the runner and collects the second out of the inning over at first base. Speaking of stolen bases, here comes Austin Hedges. Padre catcher stole a bag last night and on Friday night against the Phils. Austin swings and misses. Back-to-back changeups from Morgan. 0-2. Another chance on the left side for Maikel Franco with Hedges running. He takes his time, and the 7th inning is done, but the Padres get another.
Cincinnati, Paul Goldschmidt continues to do well. A couple of home runs today. Diamondbacks over the Reds 9-2. Significant because the Dodgers got walked off again in Colorado. They lose 4-3. They've now lost 2 in a row. The Dodgers a game behind and no Kenley Jansen.
No Kenley Jansen. and their bullpen is struggling without him. I mean, they had an opportunity at the deadline to correct this. They decided to go offensive, the offensive side of the baseball. They bring in Dozier, Machado. Hasn't been working out thus far. I think when it's all said and done, they'll be fine, but they're certainly going to look back at this point right now and wish they had upgraded that bullpen.
You mean it's not cool to just win the most regular season games?
You know, I think that's the way a lot of teams are thinking, but that's not what it's about. Fans want to see you host up a trophy at the end of the year.
Tony and I are going to see you on Padres Live, the post-game show brought to you by Cox after the final out. Jesse, Mark?
Thank you guys very much. Ryan McMahon last night, 3-run walk-off against the Dodgers, and Chris Iannetta today with a walk-off walk to end the game against Los Angeles. That Dodger bullpen is a very real concern. Dave Roberts did say before the game today they're going to move Kenta Maeda out of the rotation and into a relief role, which he did really nicely in the postseason last year. But, you know, with Jansen sidelined for a month, I mean, it's dicey.
Yeah, and especially when you find out that he is out for at least a month, and then you start blowing 2 games back-to-back in Colorado. That's not a good sign, and that is devastating in the clubhouse. That's when you start realizing that, to Tony's point, the frustration of your front office not addressing one of those issues, even when you had Kenley Jansen.
Rockies, meanwhile, are legitimately in it. Diamondbacks won today. Rockies obviously beat the Dodgers. I mean, it's now a 3-team race in the National League West. I don't know if we necessarily thought that a month or so ago. Rockies have made up some good ground.
Wade Davis has had his struggles as well, and Adam Ottavino got the save the other night.
Padres will head to Colorado next week for the first time since April. Padres had a big impact on the National League Central standings last week, and now this weekend they are impacting the East. Braves beat the Brewers 8-7 today, and now the Padres leading the Phils. Hello to all of our friends in Atlanta watching closely. Been a rough weekend for Jorge Alfaro. 0 for 2 at the plate today and just 1 for the series. He singled in his first at bat on Friday night, and obviously defensively there have been some struggles. Padres running wild on him. Travis Jankowski with 4 stolen bases today alone. Not that that's all on the catcher, of course. Castillo gets him. Second strikeout for Jose now in his second inning of work. 1 down to the top of the 8th.
Now he's shown his breaking ball to both sides of the plate. That's what you like about him. Also has that velocity. Down and in slider. And Jose Castillo continues to really showcase himself.
Pinch hitter here for Adam Morgan in the top of the 8th inning. It's the switch hitting catcher, Andrew Knapp. .219 average. He's 0 for his last 9. Only appearance of this series was on Friday night. Pinch hit strikeout against Kirby Yates in the 9th inning. Good fastball, 1-1. Speaking of Padre closers, I saw Trevor Hoffman today for the first time since the Cooperstown induction. I hadn't seen him in person, and it may as well have just happened last night. Like that glow, that smile is still there, and I felt it the moment we kind of approached each other in the hallway. It was just really, really nice to be able to congratulate him in person.
That glow is probably from the 32-hour nap he had when he got back from Cooperstown. As he was all over the place and very gracious, and we're very honored and thankful for Trevor Hoffman.
First thing he said to me was, "I'm sorry you couldn't be there." And I was like, "Trevor, that's not what this is about."
Yeah.
That's the way he thinks.
It really is. We can go on and on about what Trevor Hoffman is as a player, but as a person, he genuinely thinks about that.
Ball and 2 strikes to Knapp, and Castillo misses at 95. Jose has worked more than an inning, a nice handful of times for Andy Green this year. This is the 7th of his appearance, just to go longer than an inning. Leadoff man Hernandez waiting to hit next. We're talking about the Red Sox earlier, and Betts and JD Martinez with all the big numbers, and I know they discussed it on the pregame show as well. I think Boston is, I don't want to say clearly the class of the American League, but they might be. Do you think they're a favorite, to win it all, or is it just like, hey, it's August, none of that really matters when it comes to the deep postseason runs?
I would still say, even with the struggles of the Astros of late, I still think the Astros are, because of adding Garrett Cole to a starting rotation that's already dominant. But I think the addition of JD Martinez makes them very relevant, makes Mookie Betts an MVP candidate as well as JD Martinez. But when you have Chris Sale as an ace, Rick Porcello is stepping up, they're a dangerous club. And I think they've made some nice trades for Dombrowski and set up perfectly. But listen, until you do it, until Chris Sale gets into the playoffs and performs well, I don't necessarily think they're the favorite because of what they've done in the regular season.
Nice job by Knapp working that one-out walk. And speaking of the American League, we got some interleague play here at Petco Park beginning tomorrow night. The Angels come in. Feels like first time in forever that the Angels come south to Petco. Albert Pujols, as you said, maybe playing in his final games here ever. Really always a thorn in the side, to put it nicely. All those years in St. Louis to the Padres. Andrelton Simmons, one of the least discussed star players perhaps in all of baseball. And Jaime Barria is red hot on the mound for the Halos, and is scheduled to start the second game of the series coming up on Tuesday.
I think Andrelton Simmons is probably one of the best shortstops in the game of baseball. A lot of people don't talk about. So if you like defense and watching Freddie Galvis go to work, and also Simmons, get a ticket. That'd be nice. Or pull up a couch. Watch us on Fox Sports San Diego.
Phil Maton up again. And Castillo all of a sudden having a little bit of trouble finding the strike zone. 2-0 to Hernandez. Was already walked once today. Game one of that series tomorrow against the Halos will be Clayton Richard on the mound. Brett Kennedy goes back at it on Tuesday, and Robbie Erlin Wednesday. Rhys Hoskins, a dangerous guy on deck if Castillo continues to struggle here. And again, with Maton presumably ready, you wonder how long Andy Green would stick with Castillo if he's not able to get it out here. Drops that one in. Count is full. Castillo is not yet allowed a run at home this year. Trying to keep that streak alive. Payoff pitch to Hernandez, and he got a piece. Castillo issuing the walk to the pinch hitter Knapp. Opponent's only 156 this year against Jose with a man on base. He's done a good job tightening the belt in these situations. And again, Cesar Hernandez stays alive with a foul tip. Another 3-2 and another walk. Back-to-back free passes issued by Castillo. And it's not going to take long for Andy Green to come out of the dugout and make his move. There it is. Padres with a 6-0 lead here in the top of the 8th inning, but the Phils with a couple of men aboard. And the right-hander, Phil Maton, coming in to try and put out the fire, with the Padres in front by 6.
There was very little sleep before it was time to be sized for his Hall of Fame hat and jersey.
If you want to see a really funny look, we'll put it on Jim's head next. Jimmy, try this one on. Which one? That one. I think the 6 is out of the question.
Tune in into Fox Sports San Diego tomorrow following Padres Live postgame for an all-access journey with Trevor Hoffman as he gets inducted in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Spotlight, Trevor Hoffman's Hall of Fame induction debuts tomorrow after Padres Live.
Big spot for Phil Maton here, coming on in relief of Jose Castillo. Padres a 6-0 lead, but the Phil's making a little bit of noise here after back-to-back walks, and Maton's got to face Rhys Hoskins. Third appearance of the year. And after Castillo walked both Knapp and Hernandez, Maton falls behind 2-0. Maton worked in the 8th inning yesterday, sent down the Phils 1-2-3, struck out Santana and Cabrera before Herrera flew to left. That's a name to keep in mind today if the Phillies do get a little bit closer. Herrera not in the starting lineup, is available off the bench, one of the best hitters, also the newly acquired Justin Bour.
And you wonder if Matt Strom enters the equation in a scenario with those left-handers on the bench.
Phils have had run scoring issues the last few days. Padres shut them out on Friday. Arizona shut them out the game before that. Phil Maton Players Weekend later this month in Los Angeles. Nicknames on the back of the jerseys. His nickname will be Spin Rate.
Interesting.
That's in the dirt, and Hedges does a nice job tracking it down.
Is anyone going to go launch angle in the back of their jersey?
Exit velocity.
Well, I know Stanton can do that after 121.3 off the bat. His home run at Yankee Stadium the other night.
Hit one today. I think I saw it never got more than like 50 feet off the ground. It is an actual laser beam. What would your nickname be? Players Weekend.
Sweeney.
You'd be that guy. You'd be Brett Gardner. Ground ball left side. Galvis has a chance for two. Corey Spangenberg's turn gets away from Hosmer. And on his way home and scoring without a play is Andrew Knapp. So the Phillies get on the board here in the 8th. Looked like Knapp wasn't necessarily committed to trying to come home, but he does. Padres do get an out. Now a 5-run game.
Well, nice turn and good feed by Freddie Galvis. And I think Corey Spangenberg just pulled this toward the outfield side. And watch Knapp. He just sees the ball that's past Hosmer and slides into home plate with the first run for the Phillies today.
No RBI for Hoskins. Run scores on the error by Spangenberg. At this point, Padres probably okay trading a run for an out. Nick Williams takes high. Yeah, Brett Gardner last year with the Yankees, he was not having Players Weekend. He didn't want to put a name on the back of his jersey. Obviously, the Yankees don't have names on the back of their jerseys. And remember, he said, I've never had a name on my jersey in the big leagues. I don't want one now. And they said, well, you have to. So he just went with Gardner.
He should have gone ...
That would have been funny.
That would have been good.
Or blank, B-L-A-N-K. No name spelled out. Nick Williams has struck out each of his last 2 times. This time he finds some space in right field. Hoskins is on his way to third base, and now with a bobble, he's going to be waved. He's on his way home. Williams heading for third. He's there with a triple. And the Phillies get another here in the 8th. It's a 4-run game. Williams had an RBI triple in his first at bat last night. Getting a little bit interesting here.
Yeah, it almost seems like you can't throw a breaking ball in the strike zone to Nick Williams. It has to be out of the strike zone. And you can see the shift. They've been shifting him into that right center gap, and Travis Jankowski has to go a long way. The bobble, and Williams scampers to third base.
They end up giving him a double and charge Jankowski with an error. He does get a run batted in as Santana swings and misses. And that's hard hit into center field for a base hit. The Phils have another. Margot's got to go a long way to cut it off. Santana digging for 2. He'll get there without a play.
Just adds frustrations for Andy Green about that double play ball that Corey Spangenberg couldn't get Rhys Hoskins at first base. Back-to-back extra base hits for the Philadelphia Phillies.
And I think things now are officially interesting in a 3-run game.
Now that'll get Craig Stammen loose in the Padres bullpen and probably quicken it up a little bit.
Yeah, he's not wasting any time. Padres had a 6-0 lead until about, I don't know, 5-6 minutes ago. Another switch hitter, Cabrera. Darren Balsley going to come out and visit Maton. A couple of walks issued by Castillo. The defensive miscue by Spangenberg that Mark alluded to, and then a couple of hard hit extra base hits by Williams and Santana. Ball 2. So you want to be a catcher. Three and 1 to Cabrera. Joey Lucchesi started for the Padres 6 shutout innings in what is, I think, arguably the best start of his young career. Jose Castillo an uneventful 7th, but walked a couple of guys here in the 8th, and you combine that with a couple of errors, a couple of extra base hits, and all of a sudden a 3-run game. This one is skied and fouled out of play.
Maikel Franco with 19 home runs is looming in the on-deck circle.
Representative of the potential tying run. if you're thinking ahead to the bottom of the 8th inning, Galvis, Villanueva, and Spangenberg due up, as the Padres will try and answer at least some of this Philadelphia scoring. 3-2 to Cabrera, and he fouled it back. Pat Neshek. Another 3-2, and he got him. Cabrera chased the high fastball, and Maton gets out of it. Couple of runs in a dicey inning for Philadelphia. Of the game, easy choice so far today. Freddie Galvis getting it done defensively as always at the shortstop position, but also hitting his first career grand slam. Back in the 3rd inning, that gave the Padres a 5-0 lead. They would add another in the 7th to go ahead 6-0. Phil's, though, making it interesting thanks in part to a couple of Padre errors in the top of the 8th. Galvis going to lead off here, and an opportunity to add to that highlight reel. New Philly pitcher, Austin Davis.
Austin Davis faced 2 hitters last night. Corey Spangenberg hit the triple to left and then proceeded to walk the next hitter. Back-to-back outings for Austin Davis.
Andrew Knapp, who pinch hit, stays into catch, but the pitcher in the 8th spot. And Galvis, batting right-handed, takes a strike. Tries to go the other way, and it gets underneath of Santana into right field. It'll be a base hit for Freddie Galvis. He's 2 for 4, and the Padres have the leadoff man aboard here in the 8th.
I love seeing Freddie Galvis get that hit. I think Santana should have made this play under his glove. At this level, you got to make these plays going to his right. But just extending a very good day for Freddie Galvis going against his former club.
Now Christian Villanueva as they check on Galvis. throw to first base. And Davis, who's had some nice moments this year in relief for Gabe Kapler, has now faced 3 Padres in this series and yet to record an out. Triple and a walk yesterday, as Mark said, before he was yanked. Now the lead single by Galvis. And now ball 1 to Villanueva. Kristen, the team's home run leader with 20. Runner going. Knapp tested immediately, and Galvis steals a base. Hold all tickets.
Well, Freddie doesn't go on first move, but he just goes when he sees that leg kick of Davis going towards home plate. And he slides in safely. I think that's going to be a stolen base. Sliding on the outfield side of second.
It is, and the 6th of the year for Freddie Galvis. Also stole a bag in the 7th inning on Friday night. Puts himself in scoring position, and now ball 4 to Villanueva. Talk about Galvis against the Phillies in 6 games now this season. 10 hits, hitting almost 500. And a grand slam here this afternoon.
Show them what they miss.
Two on and nobody out. Padres trying to answer at least some of the Philly offense from the top of this inning. Spangenberg, as mentioned, tripled against Davis last night. And Davis still yet to retire anybody in the series as he misses ball 1. Pitching coach Rick Kranitz going to go out and visit here. And again, you go back to last night with Austin Davis. Gave up a triple and a walk. Today, a single and a walk. Bills will have 6, 7, and 8 due up in the 9th inning as the left-hander loop is up again. But again, as mentioned, Bohr available off the bench. Odubel Herrera available off the bench. So that's why adding on here would certainly make things a lot more comfortable for the Padres. Corey gets the bunt down. It'll be handled by Davis. And he's going to throw it away down the right field line. Galvis will score. Villanueva is going to be held at third base. But the Padres get 1 back. And still 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out.
This ball's bunted right back to Davis, and you can see Corey Spangenberg laying it down. I thought he had a chance at third base, and then he airmails it to the outfield side. This has not been a very good series for Davis.
So Villanueva at third base, Spangenberg at second, nobody out. And now at the plate will be pinch hitter A.J. Ellis. We mentioned earlier perhaps one of the issues the Phillies could have down the stretch here is defense, and that has shown its head all afternoon. It's neat too. I mean, Padres have really forced the issue, sending base stealers and bunting, just putting the ball in play, making the Phillies have to make a play. Ellis skies that one to center field. Villanueva will tag at third. Roman Quinn lines it up, makes the catch. Throw cut off, and a sacrifice fly in the pinch for A.J. Ellis. It's 8-3.
Just sound baseball from A.J. Ellis, just prioritizing what you have to do in that situation. Elevating a ball to the outfield and an add-on run. Pitch on the outside part of the plate, just gets enough of it.
So Ellis drives in a run, and Gabe Kapler goes back to the bullpen. Padres back up by 5, 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Jankowski running wild on the Philadelphia Phillies today. That is stolen base number 1 in the first inning. This is stolen base number 2 in the third inning. This is stolen base number 3 in the 7th inning. And about 3 seconds after that, he decided to take off for third and collected his 4th stolen base of this game. Right after that, ground ball, third base. Not perfectly done by the Phillies. Their defense lets them down. Jankowski scores a run. And now Travis coming back to the plate here with the Padres in front 8-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Aaron Loop, the longtime Blue Jay, on to pitch for the Phils.
Acquired at the deadline, and you can see only his 3rd game in a Phillies uniform.
Inherits a runner in scoring position, and a looping curveball misses 1-0.
I see where you're working.
And good night. That was not premeditated, but it was bad. In a long 8th inning, and that one nearly got away. 2-0. They mentioned Luke comes over in a trade at the deadline. He had never pitched in any or the other organization aside from Toronto. That's a 1993 World Series trade. A lot of action at the trade deadline this year. Very entertaining. Jankowski takes, excuse me, used to saying Jankowski all day, with Spangenberg taking off for third. Foul ball, 2-2. Travis, 4 stolen bases today. Austin Hedges with a couple of steals in this series. Obviously part of the Padre game plan going into this weekend. Kazuhisa Makita up today from AAA El Paso. Non-save situation after the Padres get a couple back here in the bottom of the 8th. Lupa, Louisiana guy, pitched at Tulane collegiately. Drafted in the 9th round by the Blue Jays in 2009. Came up through their system. Debuted in the big leagues 2012. And now a Philly. Pitched in the postseason with the Jays 3 years ago. Spangenberg runs again, pitch outside, and a stolen base. Sixth of the year for Spangenberg. Only been caught once, and Knapp didn't even bother throwing down there. Second steal of the inning for the Padres, who just continue to run all over this Philadelphia defense. Infield in, ball 4. Sometimes all the manager can do is cross his arms.
I think Gabe Kapler, the first-year manager, has his hands full. I mean, that does not look like a first-place team, in my opinion. Defensively, we already alluded to how talented they are in the starting rotation.
Hosmer now. And a high chopper over towards first. Santana coming in. He will take the sure out at first base, but that gets a run home as Spangenberg checks in, and now a 9-3 Padre lead here in the 8th. Jankowski at second base with 2 down. Fastball for a strike. And I tell you what, if Luke doesn't start paying some attention to Travis Jankowski at second base, I mean, you got to figure it's worth a shot.
Yeah, with that 6-run lead, they might put the brakes on Travis Jankowski.
4 stolen bases today for Travis. Padre record is 5 in a game. Alan Wiggins has done it, Damian Jackson has done it, and Tony Gwynn has done it. Padres have stolen 6 bags in this game, more than any team has in any game this year. He's got 4 of them. Galvis and Spangenberg the others. Stolen bases Padres have had in the game since 2011. Payoff pitch to Renfroe, and he lines it over to third base. Nicely handled by Franco, and that'll end the 8th inning. Padres, though, get a couple runs back. Go to the 9th inning at Petco. Good day here at the ballpark. Padres honoring the United States Navy, and they have put up 9 runs on the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's not forget, though, Mark Sweeney, Joey Lucchesi, 6 shutout innings here in his 18th start.
Yeah, matched a career high. I thought Joey Lucchesi, after the first inning where there was some command issues, I thought he settled in nicely, backed by the offense, and very impressive day by the young left-hander.
Welcome back, Kazuhisa Makita, his 24th big league appearance of the year. Had been down at AAA El Paso, recalled today.
Yeah, strikeout an inning down in El Paso. 18 innings of work, 18 strikeouts.
Michael Franco to lead it off, and he gets a good look at Makita, who delivers strike 1. Franco asked for time. Makita works very, very quickly. In fact, in Japan last year, they timed him. He delivered the ball faster than any other pitcher after getting it back from the catcher. And we've seen the Phils really all series very much trying to control the tempo at the plate, asking for time. There's the eephus. And stepping out, not really allowing the Padre pitchers to work with a good tempo. It has not worked for the Phillies. On 0-2, he gets him. Boy, what does a 79-mile-per-hour fastball look like after that 60-mile-per-hour breaking pitch?
Well, it has a lot to do with the differential. 60 miles an hour, then to 79 at the top of the strike zone. Tips that right into Austin Hedges' mitt for the first punch out.
You don't often get to say he blew him away with a 79-mile-per-hour fastball, but he did. Quinn takes ball 1. It's that one on the screws out to center field. Margot got a little bit turned around, but Manuel able to go back and make the catch. 2 away here in the 9th. And let's revisit our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers. I had a feeling right out of the chute you were all over this.
Well, we had to rake Jake, and we had to get these keys early because it looked like the Padres had a good game plan against Jake Arrieta. You see the numbers. And Travis Jankowski, he disrupted everything, and it was a one-man band. Obviously, Freddie Galvis' grand slam, his stolen base, and Corey Spangenberg's stolen base. 6 in total for the Padres.
I'm starting to think you know what you're talking about.
That's what my mom says.
All over it as Justin Bohr makes his Philadelphia debut. I think the Phils are hoping that he can provide the kind of power off the bench that Matt Stairs did for them in their World Series year in 2008. Acquired from the Marlins this week. Makita wasting no time as always, and now a strike away. The 1-2 to Bohr is spoiled foul. Oh, that was the first player-for-player trade made between the Marlins and the Phillies since the late Dutch Dalton went to the Marlins in '97 from Philadelphia.
I think that's changing too.
Yeah.
Trades within the division, we're seeing more and more of that.
1-2 to Bohr. He waited on the Evis and drives it into center field. Probably could have swung at it 3 times if he wanted. And a 2-out single here in the 9th inning. It's a really good and interesting point because I think now a lot more teams are, going one way or the other. They're either in that total rebuild mode or they're really going for it. And so you feel okay, maybe more than you ever have, about making trades within the division. Here's the catcher, Andrew Knapp. Walked and scored last inning in his first time up. He swings at the first pitch. Renfroe comes in and the ball game is over. Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Phils. A 9-3 victory and back a 6 shutout innings today from Joey Lucchesi. Padres Live coming up next. Mike Pomerantz, what have you got?
That's for sure. You've got Travis Jankowski had himself a very productive afternoon. 2 for 3, 3 runs scored, 4 stolen bases. You're going to hear from him. And of course, Freddie Galvis, he of the Grand Slam. We'll see you in moments.